The stage was set in the Kremlin as two of the world's most authoritarian leaders, Russia's Vladimir Putin and Syria's Bashar al-Assad, sat down for a high-stakes meeting. The air was thick with tension as the two men, responsible for some of the bloodiest wars of the 21st century, discussed an expansion of Moscow's military presence in Syria. As the world watched with bated breath, questions arose about the Biden administration's stance in the region. Was the United States on the defensive, rapidly losing its influence in a critical part of the world? The meeting between Putin and Assad seemed to highlight the shifting geopolitical landscape, leaving experts and observers alike pondering the implications. In 2015, when Russia's Vladimir Putin intervened in the Syrian civil war, it was a game-changer that tipped the balance in favor of Bashar al-Assad, the Syrian strongman. Despite Western demands for Assad's removal, Putin's support ensured Assad's survival, resulting in a devastating war against his own population, with over 500,000 lives lost, and the use of chemical warfare. Now, with the prospective beefed-up presence of Russian troops and military bases in Syria, the Biden administration's Middle East policy faces yet another challenge. U.S. national security experts are increasingly alarmed at China and Russia's maneuvers in a region where the United States has historically wielded great influence, and the stakes have never been higher. For years, the United States has been a key player in the region, but now, as China and Russia assert their influence, Washington's leverage appears to be slipping. The once dominant role of the United States is being challenged by these global rivals, and the Biden administration must navigate this new reality with strategic precision. As tensions between China and the U.S. continue to escalate, China's Foreign Minister Qin Gang delivered a bold warning in his first press conference since taking office. He stated that China-U.S. relations have seriously deviated and criticized the U.S. approach of containment and suppression, stating that it will not make America great and will not halt China's rejuvenation. The recent spy balloon saga has further heightened tensions between the two superpowers. The U.S. shooting down a Chinese spy balloon over the Atlantic has added fuel to the fire, with both sides engaging in tit-for-tat actions that threaten to undermine any efforts to improve bilateral relations. Amidst this backdrop, the U.S. Secretary of State's visit was expected to be about building bridges, or at least preventing existing ones from being destroyed. However, with the spy balloon incident, questions arise about the methods being employed by China for surveillance and intelligence gathering, and how it might impact the already strained relationship between the two countries. The spy balloon saga between China and the U.S. has taken an unexpected turn, with tensions escalating as the balloon crashed into the sea. The situation has been akin to tracking the trajectory of China's response, which mirrored the Pentagon's tracking of the balloon itself. At first, China attempted to downplay the incident, claiming it was a weather balloon blown off course and accusing U.S. politicians and media of hyping it up. They urged everyone to stay calm and called the U.S. attack on the airship a violation of international practice. However, as U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken's visit to China was canceled and the balloon remained lost at sea, Beijing's tone changed. The initial reassurances turned into accusations, with China shifting gears and adopting a more confrontational stance. Mr. Qin's words echoed with a sense of frustration as he addressed the growing tensions between China and the U.S. He further highlighted that the U.S. wants China to refrain from responding to provocations, implying a double standard in the expectations set by the U.S. As tensions escalate between China and the U.S., Mr. Qin's words paint a vivid picture of a potential collision course. The metaphor of the U.S. roaring down the wrong road without putting on the brakes, and the warning that no amount of guardrails can stop the derailment and overturning, captures the urgency of the situation. The question of who will bear the disastrous consequences of conflict and confrontation hangs in the air, leaving a sense of foreboding. As tensions simmer between the U.S. and China, efforts to rebuild diplomatic relations are facing challenges. Top White House official Kurt Campbell emphasized the need for crisis mechanisms reminiscent of the Cold War era, including hotlines, to prevent further escalation. With recent tensions flaring over a stopover by Taiwan's president in the U.S., Campbell revealed that Washington has expressed readiness for another call between President Joe Biden and Chinese leader Xi Jinping. The diplomatic dance between the U.S. and China continues as President Biden's planned call with Chinese leader Xi Jinping after a U.S. fighter jet shot down a suspected spy balloon has yet to happen, leaving tensions simmering. As tensions continue to rise between the U.S. and China, efforts to build a floor under their relationship have yet to yield success, according to a top White House official. Kurt Campbell, U.S. Indo-Pacific Coordinator, emphasized the need for crisis communication mechanisms, including hotlines, to prevent potential conflicts between Chinese and U.S. military forces operating in close proximity. Campbell noted that such mechanisms were established during the Cold War and are equally relevant today. As tensions between the U.S. and China continue to escalate, with recent incidents such as the suspected spy balloon and a U.S. stopover by Taiwan's president adding to the strained relationship, experts are expressing growing concerns. William Cohen, former Secretary of Defense under the Clinton administration, has described the situation as dangerous, while Stephen Roach, senior fellow at Yale University's Paul Tsai China Center, notes that Beijing views Washington as its primary adversary and believes the U.S. is actively trying to block China's path. The contentious back and forth between the two nations has been fueled by various issues, including trade disputes, tariffs, technology rivalry, and allegations of spying. Biden, who has previously played basketball with Xi and engaged in debates with former Chinese leaders over human rights and military cooperation, claimed to have spent over 24 hours in private meetings with Xi. However, despite this history, the current state of U.S.-China relations is far from what Beijing had hoped for. The Biden administration's policies on trade, tariffs, tech rivalry, and alleged spying have raised tensions between the two nations. China now views the U.S. as its primary adversary and believes that the U.S. is intent on blocking China's path, according to Roach. With expectations of continuity and consistency from the U.S., Biden's approach has caught Beijing off guard. The dynamics between the two nations have shifted, and the level of trust has eroded, leading to a precarious situation in U.S.-China relations. As the two countries navigate through these uncertain waters, the coming months will be crucial in determining the future of their diplomatic interactions. The once familiar and reassuring face of Biden has now become a wild card, and the unpredictable nature of U.S.-China relations adds further complexity to the global geopolitical landscape. For many analysts in Beijing, Biden's presidency represents a challenging conundrum for China's strategic interests. Not only is he continuing the assertive policies towards China set by his predecessor, but he is also, unlike Donald Trump, a true believer in rallying democracies against autocracies on the global stage. While Biden's presidency may offer relief from Trump's unpredictability, Chinese officials would have preferred Trump's self-centered and transactional approach, especially when it comes to sensitive issues like human rights in Xinjiang and democracy in Taiwan. The reality of Biden's approach has caught Beijing off guard, and they are grappling with the implications of this unexpected turn of events. It seems that the new Biden is not the familiar face that Beijing had anticipated, and China now finds itself navigating uncharted waters in its relationship with the United States. This unexpected shift in dynamics has added a new layer of complexity to the already tense U.S.-China relationship, leaving many in Beijing scrambling to recalibrate their strategies in response to this unforeseen challenge. Gone are the days of Trump's deliberate disrespect and neglect of U.S. allies, as the Biden administration works to restore credibility among its partners. In fact, experts in Beijing are taking notice of the surprisingly effective efforts by the Biden administration to thwart Russian military action in Ukraine, even though the outcome may not have been as desired. For China's President Xi Jinping, who has his sights set on reunifying Taiwan with the mainland, the situation is particularly worrisome. As he watched the United States respond to Russia's aggression in Ukraine, he couldn't help but see parallels with Taiwan. Beijing insists that Taiwan is an integral part of China and has repeatedly warned against any moves towards Taiwan's independence. Xi has even likened such efforts to playing with fire, a dangerous game that could result in severe consequences. As tensions between the United States and China continue to rise, and President Biden's approach catches Beijing off guard, the world holds its breath for what comes next. Can the United States rally its allies in the Asia-Pacific region to counter China's assertiveness? The stakes are high, and the drama is real. If you want to stay updated on the latest developments in U.S.-China relations and the ongoing geopolitical showdown, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon to receive notifications. Don't miss out on the action.